project of the three palaces on top, even if the palaces were finished later upon Michelangelo's death. That's a Capitol Hill to the right. St. Mary in Araceli, up there, upstairs. Down to the street level on your right, you now see a block in bricks. All that remains of an ancient Roman condominium, so a sort of apartment building dating from the 2nd century after Christ. A sort of dwelling for the lower classes. But now, from the old to the new, to the right, you see one of the sides of a big monument, the Vittoriano we call. A monument began in 1885 in memory of the Kingdom of Italy, when Italy unified. The equestrian statue you see on your right, in the middle, up to the right, representing Victor Emmanuel II, first king of Italy. Italy unified in 1861. And the monument was begun in 1885. This is Venice Square. Why Venice? This square is named after the palace you now see on your left. The brown palace you see on your left is a 1400s palace where a cardinal lived inside. It was its own property at the half of the 1400s, but in reality the palace on your left keeps us very dramatic memory. The balcony you see to the left in the middle is where Mussolini used to come out to do his speeches during World War II. Because the palace was also the seat of the fascist government during World War II. And now the Vittoriano again, to the left. On top of the stairs, you see, there is a white coffin gathered by a couple of soldiers. The white coffin you see there, engraved with lots of reliefs, you see now on your right. The tall column you see to the right is the Trajan's column. Trajan, Emperor Trajan, Traiano, ruled the empire at the beginning of the 2nd century. And he was the Roman general who conquered Romania. Now Romania. Down to the right you see a long street running straight down there. That is the main street crossing the downtown, the old city. So, Via del Corso, about a mile long. Via del Corso bordered with beautiful palaces, actually. This is a little bit the city center of Rome, so we are not far from the main highlights of Rome, so the Pantheon, Roma Square, you know. Attenzione! It's crazy. Mamma mia, mamma mia. Wow.
And I can tell you that we have a very good driver, huh?
Yeah. Visto sotto. I had to, you know.
Bravo.
Pair of eyes.
Well, now, on the way to the Vatican, for instance, there is a big church, a beautiful church, of which you now see one of the two long sides on your left. In a few moments, around the corner to the left, the facade. The facade of the Church of Jesus, now behind you to the left. The main church of the Jesuits. The Jesuits, we know, the religious order spread off all over the world, you know, founded by Saint Ignatius of Loyola. But we're about to cross another square, Argentina Square, with the ruins of Roman temples down to the left. You see on your left there, the columns of 4 Roman temples, dating back to the Republican period, so more than 2,000 years old. Though the area around is known for another reason. Julius Caesar, we all know, Julius Caesar, when he was assassinated, murdered in 44 BC, the day of the Ides of March, 44 BC. Where? Here. Next to the columns of the temples to the left, Julius Caesar was stabbed to death, killed by Brutus and Cassius. So then his body was transported from here to the Roman Forum to be cremated there. Now we take a long thoroughfare running straight to the river. A new thoroughfare, as you can see, so wide. Anytime, anywhere you see a wide street like this one, this is a sign of a new intervention. Why new? Rome became the capital of the Kingdom of Italy in 1871. So the urbanization of the city
Yellow Ferrari.
changed a lot. The yellow Ferrari down to so many works carried out here, the new town planning and so on.
Yeah.
Some of the palaces and churches dating from the 1600s were pulled down to open new streets. Others survived, like the one on your left. You now see a white palace, beautiful on your left. That was built up in the second half of the 1400s. But it still belongs to the church. So it is a Vatican property, a sort of extraterritorial property. Why? Because we are in Italy, of course, but there are some palaces that belong to the church and which are situated here in Italy. So extraterritorial properties of the church. That one in particular is the seat of the court, the Vatican court, for the trials and so on. Now, other older palaces, and churches like the one to the right, you see the beautiful facade of Santa Maria in Vallicella. A typical facade of most of the churches of the city dating from the 1600s. Ilaria saw her father walking down.
Maybe get a free.
Yeah, you can bring him with us. Why not? And now we're about to cross the river, because we are still along the left side of the river, the left bank of the river, where most of Rome is concentrated. So not only the Colosseum, the Roman Forum, the main archaeological area, but also the main squares as well. So Penny Square we have seen, but also Trevi Square, Spanish Steps and so on. While the right side of the river, in the first centuries of history, was not really important. Only later, thanks to the construction of some important buildings, also the right bank of the river became important. And one of the monuments built up there along the right side of the river still exists. It's still up. The Hadrian's tomb. You all know Hadrian, Emperor Hadrian. He died near Naples, but then he was buried in Rome, in a sort of tomb, round-shaped, that was later turned into a castle, St. Angel's Castle. You now can see on your right. Can you see on your right?
Yeah.
Can you see the big castle built over the Hadrian's tomb by keeping the shape of the tomb, round shape? The castle was built over the Hadrian's tomb in the Middle Ages and renovated later and dedicated to the Archangel Michael. You see the statue of Archangel Michael, who, according to a tradition, we know appeared on top of the monument in 590 to put an end to a plague. So he freed Rome from a dramatic plague which was striking the city. The river flowing down below us, and the embankment erected at the end of the 1800s to protect the city from the river floods, so frequent till the last time they could reach the castle, thanks to a long corridor, walkway, still existing, the Passetto. Now, just a first look to St. Peter's Basilica on the left, we're going to see better later on. The Passetto is the long passageway inside a wall, the wall you now see in front of you. So above the arches, you can probably notice that there are some rectangular windows to provide light to the passito. The passito is not underground, as you can realize, but above ground. It is in part indoor, in part outdoor, but above ground anyway. So, still I repeat, connecting the Pope's apartments at the very end to the left to the castle on the right. So, once inside the castle, the popes could finally be well protected by the garrison. So it was a real fortress for them. You know? Very strategic, also the location of the castle. And now around us, a new area of Rome, in part renovated, but in reality, in the Middle Ages, this area was a district with old buildings, which are later a part of them, even marshy and swampy somewhere. So, and then, of course, you know, the new works to modernize the city and the building of new districts. We are just 5 minutes driving from the drop-off point, next to the entrance of the Vatican museums. Just a couple of advices, you know, about the visit of Vatican museums, you know, about the dress code, knees and shoulders to cover, you know, for the Basilica and for the Sixtine Chapel. Pictures are allowed inside the museums, but without the flash. And the only real restrictions is the Sixtine Chapel. No pictures and no video films at all inside the Sixtine Chapel. And this is the only restriction. Otherwise, everywhere, but without the flash. And then another important advice is about your big bags. Just the big bags are not allowed inside the museum, so you can leave them here because the coach will be locked. So don't worry. So just the big bags.